debate. Further debate. The member from Thornhill.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I'm very pleased to rise today and, of course, speak in support with the rest of my colleagues on the Highway Traffic Amendment Act, brackets Careless Driving 2016. And I just want to recap a little bit that this is to make sure that the fines fit and are a fitting punishment for distracted driving and careless driving. They want to ensure that the fines, what they're asking with this bill is a minimum of $2,000, a $50,000 maximum fine. And, you know, we want to have this come to committee and to have the real discussion with the stakeholders in how to really get the message out. And I think it has to be more than fines, Madam Speaker. We really need to educate people. Cars are getting, you know, more and more toys, more apps. They're getting cars now with Wi-Fi. These are all adding to the distracted driving. We're also seeing more electric cars, and I don't believe anybody's brought this up, but electric cars are very quiet and sneak up on people, including not just pedestrians, but other drivers, as well as we heard previously, motorcycles and cyclists. And that's something that kind of concerns me. I like the fact that electric cars are quiet, and I have to say that I think many of us have had times where we've had a motorcycle weaving in and out, and the only reason we knew it was there was because of the noise that it made. I'm also concerned about when we have collisions on our roads that there are secondary and tertiary accidents as a result because people are, we hear rubbernecking, looking at accidents in the other direction. And it's very important to me that we find a way to address the lack of productivity, yes, but also the danger by our highways being blocked. And I want to remind everybody that my bill had overwhelming support at committee, Bill 181, Reducing Gridlock and Improving Traffic Flow Act, and it hasn't been brought forward for third reading in the House, and I would ask my colleagues on all sides of the floor to please help work with me to get a better response to clearing our roads, our highways of accidents. I think that that's one of the issues. I want to, also mention that June 6th is a sad anniversary for my colleague from Burlington, and that was just a few days ago this week, and I'm sure that's a hard day for her, and I know she was working that day, and that was the day that her husband, former OPP Sergeant Greg Stobart, lost his life by a careless driver. And this wasn't just any careless driver. This was somebody who was driving commercially, yet had 5 convictions for driving under suspension, 4 for driving with no insurance, and $15,000 in unpaid fines. And even after this horrific accident, this fatal accident, was on the roads again driving. So I think that technology is wonderful, but it does add to careless driving. But maybe there is technology that can be used so that we can ensure that people who don't care, they just don't care, they have no thought, no regard for anybody but themselves, somehow we can track where they're working and whether or not they're driving. And that's going to be a very tough one to address because of privacy rules. I just want to mention that my dad is a real avid cyclist. His name is Alex. And when I visit him in Florida, he refuses to have a car down there. And so we do everything by bike. And until you're actually trying to run errands on a bike and you're not just sticking to bike paths, it's a very different experience. I'm more of a to put the bike on the back of the car, and our colleague from Perry San Muskoka had a recent bill about allowing bike racks to block license plates. So I'm more of the recreational bike driver, but until you're having to go to the grocery store and deal with those parking lots and the carts, and people are very distracted. What does he do? He manages just fine. We've got the baskets, we've got the knapsacks, and we do it all. So he's 87 years old, and yes, he's in great shape, but I do worry about him out on the roads with the careless drivers and the high-speed cars. And I hope that we can all work together to add even some more amendments and to make this bill even further reaching and address many more issues on our roads, because that's the problem here, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Further debate.